Good morning, students. In the previous class, we had completed part A of the revision kit question. So today we will be continuing with the same question, that is part B. Okay, so this is where we reached in the previous class. We found the cash flows from year 0 to 4. Now, how do we find out the NPVs? Just like we did for the previous questions, we have to multiply it with the discount factor. So first it is year 0. For year 0, you don't need to use a discount factor. The discount factor for year 0 is always 1. So I'm going to write here 1. And the discount factor at the rate of 10%, we have to look up the PV table. So here is a PV table, and we're going to copy the figures from year 1 to 4. So I'm just jotting down the discount factors from year 1 to 4. And then how do we find out the present value? Present value is cash flow column multiplied by the discount factor column. So for year 0, it's negative 800 into 1. So it's negative 800. For year 1, it's 613 into 0.909. So we get 557.2. Likewise, we do for year 2, 3, and 4. And then how do we get the NPV? NPV is the total of all the present values. So now we have got an NPV of $4,200, and it is positive. So we have already studied that if the NPV is positive, then we can accept the project. Since the NPV is positive, the project could be accepted. Please note the words could be. It is not a must that we have to accept the project. Now, if you write the answer till here, you get 90% of the marks. That 10% of the marks is the final analysis that you have to do. Now, if you see this NPV is only $4,200. Now, I have just copied the cash flow workings that we have done earlier, where we have the cash inflows for all the 4 years, and the NPV working also I have copied. Now, looking at the cash flow of all the 4 years, which is the year which is contributing the maximum cash flows? It is year 1, right? Because it is $613,000. So year 1 is contributing the maximum cash flows. Now, in order to analyze, we should do a sensitivity analysis. What do you mean by sensitivity analysis? I have explained that in detail in part 3. Those of you who have not watched part 3, I request you to watch part 3 and then come and attempt this question. Okay, so the sensitivity of NPV to change in sales means what is the maximum drop in sales that we can suffer without getting a negative NPV? As the NPV is very negligible, 4,200, and we select year 1 to do the sensitivity analysis because that is the year in which the maximum cash flows comes in. We can take the sensitivity analysis for any other years also. But since this year is contributing the maximum cash flows, even a slight reduction in sales will lead to a negative NPV. In years 2, 3, and 4, much higher percentage drop in sales will lead to a negative NPV. So now, sensitivity of the NPV to changes in sales volume. What was the formula that I taught you in part 3? It is NPV divided by the present value of contribution. In that particular question, we did not have a tax effect, but here we have tax at the rate of 30%. So a slight modification in the formula is required because the contribution that you're getting is only 70%, because 30% is tax that you pay to the government and balance 70% only you get. So this present value of contribution is not the amount that we get in our hands. So how do you adjust the tax? We modify the formula by writing 1 minus tax rate. What is tax rate? Tax rate is 0.3, or 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7. That is only 70% of the contribution we are getting. This is the meaning of this formula. So whenever we have a tax, a slight change in the formula is required for adjusting the tax effect. Now we will just substitute the figures in the formula and see the results. So what is NPV? NPV is 4.2. And what is contribution? Contribution we have studied in marginal costing. It is sales minus variable cost. So what is sales here? Sales here is 3,750 for year 1. And what is the variable cost? There are 2 items of variable cost. namely direct material and variable cost. So those are the two items of variable cost. So what is the contribution? It is sales minus the variable cost, that is 3,750 minus 810 minus 900. What is the contribution? Contribution is 2040. In thousands, it is 2,040,000. So we have the contribution as 200. So what is the present value of contribution? We don't want just the contribution. What is the present value of contribution? How do you convert the contribution that you received in year one to the present value terms? Simple, by multiplying by the discount factor of year one. So we will substitute in the formula NPV, that's 4.2, that's coming from here, and contribution is coming from here, 2040. And in order to get the present value, you have to multiply by 0.909, which is the discount factor of year one. And what is the tax rate? Tax rate is 0.3. So 1 minus tax rate is 1 minus 0.3, or you get 0.7 or 70%. Because we get only 70% in our hands. 30% is paid to the government. So this is the sensitivity of NPV to change in sales. Now we will see the results. The amount comes to just 0.3%. What does this mean? If the sales of year one drops by more than just 0.3%, we will end up in a negative NPV. So we are going to enter a highly risky project. So should we accept it? Agreed that the NPV is positive 4,200, but since the sensitivity of NPV to changes in sales is just 0.3% for year one, we should think twice before we accept the project. So the final conclusion is a fall of more than 0.3% in the sales of year one will lead to a negative NPV. As risk is high, it is better to reject project. If you have any doubts regarding this problem, I request you to write in the comment box below. And if you understood the problem, I request you to subscribe and like this channel and to share it with people who feel will benefit from this video. Thank you.